Team PCP just compromised Lite LLM, which is, in my opinion, the smartest target you could possibly hack right now. I will explain why, and then we'll get into the details of the specific compromise. So Lite LLM has like 40K stars. It's like a very popular LLM proxy. Why would anyone use it? So traditionally, if you want to use any LLM, you want to talk to one of the model providers like OpenAI or Anthropic, but maybe you also want to host your own, and maybe you want to alternate between all of those. It becomes tedious, right? So in many cases, especially in corporate environments, you would use a LLM proxy. And so the idea is instead of talking directly to the model provider, you instead have your own infrastructure where you set up something where you set up something like LiteLLM, and you have an API key to talk to that, and it's hosted within your own environment. So either like locked behind the VPN or locally on your machine. And it gives you the ability to easily switch between different models. It gives you observability, cost, usage tracking for like all of your employees and yourself. You can enforce some guardrails there. You can send the logs to a SIM like Splunk. You can configure it to use local models through like Olama or models hosted in AWS Bedrock. And you can also get it to talk to like Anthropic, for example. Ideally, you would also have like some egress filtering so that your proxy is not talking to like just like anything on the internet. That's one way to lock it down. So it's very useful to have. Now, you can use it either in your infrastructure, but also a lot of agents use it under the hood as a dependency. So a few hours ago, also this is all ongoing, so everything might change after I record this video. You should leave comments if things did. Someone opened the GitHub issue saying that version 1.82.8 and 7 were compromised, specifically the PyPy packages were compromised. Now they've removed them, they've cleaned them up, and now they're back online. At least the version .6, which is not compromised, is available. So now you can pull them normally. And this GitHub thread was spammed by a lot of like spam comments and eventually closed, which is one of Team PCP's tactics just to drown the conversation. Now, how did the compromise happen? So I have this other video about Team PCP and how they compromised Trivy, which is a security tool by Aquasec. And there's this orange site discussion where the maintainer of LiteLLM says that basically we were using Trivy, and we can see here that they had a shell script that runs in CI/CD, where they basically pull the Trivy Debian package and they run that in their CI/CD. Most likely what happened is they pulled the vulnerable version of Trivy and it ran on a server that had keys available to it locally. And what we're seeing is a lot of these servers have like API keys for GitHub or personal access tokens. And that likely gave the attackers access to either like a personal access token for the maintainer, which they probably did because they closed the issue and pushed commits from that maintainer. And either through that or separately, they also had API keys to publish PyPy packages. Now, so far, it seems like the Docker containers and the Docker images were not compromised, but if they had access to everything, that could change if the keys are not rotated in time. So this was initially found here on this futureresearch.ai blog post by Killam. And the way they found it was that they had a MCP plugin running inside of Cursor. And they basically found that it was creating like a fork bomb that crashed their machine. They ran out of RAM. And that was just a bug in the malware. If that didn't happen, maybe no one would have noticed, or it took longer. And the idea is that here, part of the compromise is they added to the PyPy package a .pth file, which triggers every time you run Python, regardless of if LiteLLM is being used or not. So to confirm, the maintainer mentioned on Orange site that 1.82.7 and 1.82.8 from PyPy packages were impacted for a few hours. They've now been deleted. They're trying to close the incident. It's still ongoing. This is all very recent, 44 minutes ago. But because LiteLLM is such a broadly used package, it has even more implications. So for example, the Hermes agent, which is similar to OpenClaw, just an autonomous agent, had LiteLLM as a dependency. And so they've ripped it off. And for a small window, if you just installed Hermes agent or updated it, you were vulnerable. And so because this is a campaign that has been going on for a while, for a few weeks now, I highly recommend you keep checking Rami McCarthy's website here. He's been tracking all of Team PCP's activity. And so here's, for example, the timeline just listing the LiteLLM events. So he's confirming that right now the PyPy packages were quarantined and deleted. So there was about a 3-hour exposure window. Now, if you were impacted, what their malware basically does is it looks for any keys that are on your system, SSH keys, AWS credentials, Kubernetes credentials, even like SSL and TLS private keys, like all sorts of keys, environment variables, and it encrypts them and sends them to the attacker, basically, which is what Team PCP has been doing for a while now. And also on Rami McCarthy's website, he lists all the IoCs you might want. So the new ones here, the one they use in the LiteLLM campaign is they have their own fake website. So it's models.litellm.cloud. It's not actually affiliated with LiteLLM. Pretty solid domain. And so far, they basically extract your secrets and they curl them to send them to their LiteLLM.cloud domain. Although this could change. They have a few other domains they could use. They have a fake Aquasec one. They have a fake checkmarks one as well that they've been using. Unrelated but extremely funny, LiteLLM was audited by Delve, the basically scam compliance company. This is on their website. So overall, I mean, LLM infrastructure, like LLM proxies, one of the spiciest things you can target, one of the smartest things to target as an attacker. I mean, like, what can an attacker do if they have full control of your LLM proxy? First, we're sending them all of the data, like everything from like code to like secrets, tokens, even just sensitive data in general. And the responses, we inherently trust what's being sent to us. Like if you're using Claude code, you would be pointing it to the LLM proxy, and that could be responding with like manipulated responses. For example, they can choose to inject code in if it's ever writing to shell script, for example. So now all of the code that's being written could be manipulated. Extremely lucrative target, and that's definitely something we should be spending way more effort looking into hardening.